Hi there, I'm Isan Ali A. Shaw, and you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook Live. Today, we are going to talk about a very interesting subject, the difference between freedom of speech and hate speech. I know what you're wondering is a bit controversial and sensitive topic, but we are going to discuss it anyway, and we are going to discuss it from a different perspective. Anyways, when we say freedom of speech, the definition of freedom of speech is the right or power to express your views, your thoughts, and your ideas without the fear of restriction, censorship, or any other kind of limitations. In other words, you stop the government from jumping in and censoring your content. And on the other hand, the definition of hate speech is threatening the usage of threatening or abusive language comprising of bias or prejudice towards ethnicity, towards a certain ethnicity, group, culture, or any other particular group. This is hate speech. The freedom of speech and hate speech, on definition, they may seem very simple and easy. But when you apply it in the real life, then things get complicated. For instance, and it has also been observed recently in on social media on various social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, or some other. And people consider it your disagreement as some sort of hate speech. But the question is hate speech freedom of speech, or is freedom of speech hate speech? To discuss this topic, I have invited two other guests, and we'll have a table discussion. And my first guest is Jackie McGraw. He has joined us from Gold Coast, Victoria, Australia. And my second guest is uh, Gary Merck. He is a phytoaromacologist. He has joined us from Alberta, Canada. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Good, thank
Doing well.
you.
Doing
Yeah.
well.
Yes. Okay. So, what do you think about the topic freedom of speech and hate speech, and what we are going to discuss it? That Gary, I'm going to start with you, just like always.
You sure
That
you want to start with me?
yes, of course, I want to start with you.
Okay. What do I think about it? Well, in
Mhm,
today's world, for one off, freedom of speech is being quashed everywhere. When we try to speak out in truth and speak out with freedom, it's not being allowed to be done, not being allowed to be told. If we want to speak about the truth of what a mask does to us, or the truth of what emotions are, we're either pushed down because we're speaking about emotions, or we're pushed down because I don't want to wear a mask. Okay.
mhm,
On the side of hate speech, I mean, it's
mhm,
rampant. It always
mhm,
has been, and
mhm,
and this is one of the things that, for me, I grew
mhm,
up as um, I grew up around many different cultures, and I
mhm,
never had a judgment towards another culture. I never, in fact,
mhm,
my father never spoke hate with hate. My
mhm,
mother never spoke
mhm,
with hate in
mhm,
regards to any other culture. I never
mhm,
remember hearing anything like this. Okay,
mhm,
so I
mhm,
grew up in a way that allowed me to see maybe a different perspective. I grew up
mhm,
with First Nations people. I grew up with
mhm,
having friends that were from Trinidad. We used to smoke some good MJ together. It was like,
mhm,
like I never saw color. In fact, I
mhm,
still don't today. I
mhm,
don't see color. I don't see
mhm,
culture, and I don't see language. I see a
mhm,
human being. So
mhm,
I have no hate towards any culture, color, or
mhm,
creed. I have hate
mhm,
towards people who are hating other people in the sense of what they're doing to these people. When I look at countries that have decimated other countries or enslaved other countries or taken away their country and allowed them to be in poverty and then speak about them hatefully. This is wrong. It's wrong in my world, it's wrong in my book, and I will call it out when I see it. If you in my position, I got to calm down on this one. This one gets me cranked. Okay, if you're in my space and you directly call somebody based upon their culture, I have something to say about that. My ex used to do this with people, with ladies and men that would wear the hijab, and I said, why? Why do you have judgment against somebody who has the right to cover their face based upon their belief? You know, I mean, there are some things that we can see that we have opinion towards, true. But to have hate or judgment, this strikes a nerve with me. Okay, and the reason it strikes a nerve with me is because in a world that is separated about all Black Lives Matter, all this life matters, all, you know, everybody's got something hateful to say to another group, where the biggest
Gary,
truth.
Gary, having an opinion is not a bad thing. For instance, if you disagree with something, you may, for instance, you're walking on the road, you don't like the shirt, the color shirt, or shoes, or any other thing. I think it's a common thing, and it's a natural
Sure,
thing
but that
to have
belongs to me.
feelings.
That
Yes.
belongs to me. That doesn't allow me to judge the other, have opinion to the other, say, hey, you know what you're wearing is ugly. No. Okay, the way you walk, if I say, well, that's not the way I feel that a man or a woman should walk, it's my opinion. It doesn't mean I have the
Yes.
right to impose my opinion. That becomes judgment. If we come into a discussion where it says, well, what do you think about the way I'm dressed? I'm going to be honest. If what I see, the way that you're dressed, is not appealing to me, I'm going to say so. I'm not going to say in the way that is going to be degrading or demeaning. I will just say, you know, it's not my choice to wear that style. That's all. Okay? Simple as that. And it's for you. If you feel good with what you wear, like, you know what? If you go to the store wearing your pajamas and have curlers on, be who you wish to be, right? I have nothing to say about that.
Yeah,
Absolutely nothing.
if you don't like it, then okay, your views are unnecessary.
Yeah, it means
But agree with you.
Yeah, it
Agree with
means
you
maybe I should
on.
look in the mirror and see what
Yeah.
I truly don't like. Because if what I see in another person bothers me, chances are 99% is that I have a problem with me, not with what I'm seeing. The problem's with me. What have I been taught? What have I been, programmed to believe in that's bringing me this judgment forward? Okay, you have the right to your opinion, your choice of religion, your choice of belief, whichever it may be. I have no right to judge that. I have a right to have an
But
opinion if it becomes
Gary, but
dangerous.
Mhm. Gary, the definition of freedom of speech is to express your thoughts, your views, and your
True.
ideas. It doesn't matter how biased and prejudiced they are. And you can't
Mm,
agree with someone always, and you cannot disagree with someone always. And there's always someone who disagrees with you and not gonna like your views. But
true.
the question
But that
is,
belongs to them.
yes, and the
See?
question is, uh, the people who are expressing their views, you don't like them. So do they fall in the category of hate speech?
No. If for me, no. If you're
Mhm,
coming to me
mhm,
with freedom of speech and saying, well, you're a low life
mhm, mhm,
white boy, guess
mhm,
what? I got something
mhm,
to say about that. Because
mhm,
one off, I'm not a low life, and two off,
mhm,
well, I'm partial, I got a little bit of whiteness to me. Does that make a
mhm,
difference? If I close
mhm,
my eyes, I don't see any color. Absolutely
mhm,
not. I can
mhm,
hear. So why should I accept the judgment of another that says I'm a low life or I'm a
mhm,
privileged white boy or I'm this or I'm
mhm,
not? I'm not a privileged white boy. I'm not an elitist. I'm not one that stands up upon other colors and other languages and other creeds or other walks of life and says, I'm superior. Nope, I don't do that. And I will not accept that from anybody else either. So hate speech is like, like if I call you something based upon your culture, or I call something based upon a woman and what I've been triggered for, maybe by breach of trust. And if I take that breach of trust, does that allow me the freedom of speech to belittle a woman? Absolutely no way. Not in my book, not in the Christ consciousness, not in the essence of love. This essence of love is to let others voluntarily evolve. That means your choice, your language, your color, your place in the world where you live. It's your choice. I got nothing to say
Gary,
about that.
Jackie has been very patiently listening to us.
Okay,
Now
Jackie.
I'm gonna go to Jackie, and
It's Jackie's turn. Jackie's turn. Yay!
okay.
So many things I agree with what Gary said. The freedom of speech. I mean, we come here, if you take a step back to freedom of expression, we come here as a consciousness to express ourselves. That's consciousness wanting to express itself in this world. And to squash any of that down is, I don't know if I agree with Stina, to be honest, except that really hateful, inciting violence, all that kind of stuff. And if it came back to it, why are we all saying these things? Like, if we squash those things down, the hate speech, if we squash it down and censor it as such, you're not going to get to the core issue of things, to say, why is somebody in this society thinking like that? So, and also you probably push it underground, like to be this underground movement where it can become even more violent, where they're allowed to group rather than speak, but have a discussion about it. But I do understand that a lot of those extremists with the hateful, the hate speech is there. A lot of them can't be, well, I guess you could plant seeds, but they can't be talked around or out of their way of thinking. It's so ingrained in them, and that's what they want to believe, and that's it, right?
I'm going to bring somebody else in. So hold on a second. You keep talking. I got another lady going to join us here, and she's got a voice. Melissa, I'm going to just excuse me for a minute so that she can hear this, because she's watching in right now. Melissa, I'm going to send you the link. Just follow the link. Hassan will bring you in, and welcome to the table talk, so to speak.
Okay. Yeah, Jackie.
Keep going. Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking is that, if, when we come into all this, into this world, and then things get censored, where do you draw the line? Whose opinion is what is hate speech and not speech, and what should be spoken and shouldn't be spoken? And, there's just so many rules and regulations in this world that are just squashing us down so much. Like, do we allow freedom of speech, and then people will be able to express and we can discuss and sort things out? Or do we just not allow anything? But I totally agree with Gary. Everyone's equal to me. I don't even believe we should have countries. Like, everyone is of the same value, and doesn't matter what country you come from, or, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting discussion today, I think.
It's boiling.
It is.
I can feel it boiling.
Yes.
This is
Gary. Okay, you continue, Gary. I have very interesting things to say.
Yeah.
I have got a very interesting story to tell you, Guy.
Pandora's box. In fact,
yes. Okay, I'm gonna start.
suffered.
Okay, Gary, Jackie mentioned an extremist ideology. On the other hand, it reminds me of a very interesting thing, because I live in a part of the world where I see the extremist ideology being prevailing, and everywhere. It's taught in the books, it's taught in the schools, it's taught everywhere. the society talks about it.
Yeah.
And it's and when I had an opportunity to discuss and debate with them many times, and when you discuss with them and they say the same thing, that they are expressing their views, but they are not. They don't understand the thing that, for instance, in the books, they are taught that Jews and Christians and all other Western people, they are evil and they are sinful,
Mm-hmm.
and they are, yeah, they want to kill us. Okay, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's when the kids, the children, the young minds, they are brainwashed. The adults, when they become older, they believe in it. They are taught in their whole life that the Western culture and Western ideology and Western people, and it is sinful and it is unethical, immoral, and it is not good, and they are your enemies. And that's how they are taught. When I talk about indeed, it is a hate speech, or it falls in the category of hate speech, or it's a propaganda or brainwashing material. And you agree with me. The problem is when you discuss with them, I'm not just saying these are not just my views. Just look at their books, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
send you the links. I'll mention it in the
I've read them.
description later on. And when you discuss with them, they say they are expressing their views, and but indeed it is not expression of their views. It's a hate speech, and there's a difference between free speech and hate speech.
Yeah.
But the question is hate speech free speech?
No. No.
Mhm,
Not. No. Definitely not. Hate speech is hate. That's it.
mhm,
It's not free speech.
mhm,
Free speech for me means that I have the freedom to speak.
mhm,
Yes. I
mhm,
have the freedom
mhm,
to voice an opinion, but I do
mhm,
not have the freedom to
mhm,
belittle, judge,
mhm, mhm,
decimate, kill, or
mhm,
whatever to another human
mhm,
being. No
mhm,
book, no
mhm,
scripture. And
mhm,
I'm very familiar with what you're saying. In that part of the
mhm,
world, I'm very familiar. In fact, I'm more than
mhm.
familiar with it. Okay. I'm also
How how
familiar with
how
even the
how
bigotry and the
how,
hate that
how
exists here within Canada. Within here in
mhm,
Canada, we have the
mhm,
French speaking in Quebec and we have the English
mhm,
speaking in the rest of Canada. It has been a fight
mhm,
for. I lived there. I was
mhm,
judged. I was
mhm,
belittled by even family members that was part of the woman that I was with. It's like
mhm,
they think that English people are squareheads and we're ice cubes. So I get into a
mhm,
swimming pool and they throw in a bunch of ice cubes and they put this big block with my name carved on it and said, "Welcome to
mhm,
Quebec." Really?
mhm,
Uh,
mhm,
I want to learn your language.
mhm,
But you want to judge me based upon I don't speak your language because you
mhm,
feel that you're a privileged language, that you're a
mhm,
distinct language, culture.
mhm,
In my
mhm,
book, you know what that is? That's bullshit. That means that
mhm,
you do not even understand your identity as a human being. You are
mhm,
coming across based upon scripture, books,
mhm,
programmation, what your
mhm,
parents have taught you, how to,
mhm,
judge another culture, judge another language, judge another
mhm,
color. There's an old philosophy. It's called the
mhm,
sandbox syndrome.
mhm,
And I use this in therapy sessions. When I'm
mhm,
taking in group therapies and I'm working with them to understand heart and understand spirit and understand acceptance, it's called the sandbox syndrome. Me and three others are in the sandbox. The other three, as children, we're playing
mhm,
in the sandbox. They're different colors. I don't see any color.
mhm,
I'm playing in the
mhm,
sand. Okay.
mhm,
I go home at the end of the day. My father says to me, he says, "Well, what did you do today, Gary?" I was playing in the sandbox. I was playing with Jimmy, Joe, and Jerry, just for say as
mhm,
names. And, oh, well, my father says, "Well, wasn't Jimmy that black kid? Oh, he's
mhm,
dirty."
mhm,
And so I'm listening to my father tell me this. I look to my father. He's my Superman. Say, okay. So I go back
mhm,
to the sandbox. the following day to play with my friends that I've been
Mhm.
playing with. Now I
Mhm.
say to the black boy, I say, well, I can't play with you anymore. My father says you're dirty.
Mhm.
So I go back home. My father says the same thing about the other boy. Same syndrome. Now it's just me and one boy left in the sandbox. I
Mhm.
go back home. Father says the same thing again, something
Mhm.
derogatory to that young boy. I shouldn't play with him. So I go back
Mhm.
to that sandbox, the last friend, and I say, I can't play with you anymore because my father says I can't play with you. So
Mhm.
now the following day, I go back to the sandbox. I'm sad. I got no friends. I'm
Mhm.
digging this hole. I don't want to dig this hole. I go home. I'm not smiling. My father says to me, so, well, son, what's wrong? Well,
Mhm.
Dad, will you come play with me in the sandbox? I haven't got
Mhm.
anybody to play with. And he says, well,
Mhm.
son, I'm too busy. Go play by yourself.
Mhm.
So here's where the programmation is set in. Color, creed, language, height, size, you're too big, you're too small, you're too
Mhm.
white, you're too dark, you're too yellow, you're too whatever, bada bada bing bang.
Mhm.
Okay? The whole history of
Mhm.
judgment and crucifixion of peoples has been based
Mhm.
upon a power of one that set in motion hate.
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
would use people because we would
Mhm.
hate them. Say, you're not good enough to sit with me, but you're good enough to dig my hole.
Mhm.
In Canada and North America, this was done in history to the black peoples. This was done to
Mhm.
the Chinese. They were used on
Mhm.
the railroads. The United States has enslaved black people. Many parts
Mhm.
around the world has done the same thing. In fact, in many cultures, they enslaved
Mhm.
their own culture.
Mhm.
They judge and they hate certain parts of their peoples.
Yes,
This is what's
just
wrong
like
with
mhm.
humanity because there's no
just
human
like in the
there's no human sense to this. There's not.
just like in the just like in the subcontinental countries, we have the
Yes.
India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. All those countries, they have the caste system. Caste in certain caste in the society, they are considered higher and they are superior. They are considered superior. On the other hand, the people in the lower caste, they are considered the low people, and they don't get married, they don't invite each other, they don't hug, they don't play uh, uh, with the people of the other caste. And
Hmm.
this even is difficult to admit that this custom, this tradition still exists today. That many people of different castes, they just simply consider lower, they are considered inferior, uh, they are judged based on their caste, on their birth, that they are
Yep.
born in a certain family.
Yeah. Look what's still going on in the Gaza Strip. Is anybody
Mhm.
talking about what's going on in the Gaza Strip? Nobody's
Mhm.
talking about that. Nobody's
Mhm.
talking about the bombings. Nobody's talking about the mass killings. Nobody's talking about the genocide based upon one culture against another one.
Mhm.
We're talking about a vaccination. We're talking
Mhm.
about a mask.
Mhm.
We're talking about politics and Trump and this and that. Why are we not talking about what the atrocities are that is still going on? People killing each other based
Mhm.
upon religion, based upon belief. This
Mhm.
is wrong. That is
Mhm.
not freedom. That is not freedom of speech. Nobody has the right to judge, belittle, or kill another human being based upon something that you do not disagree with.
Mhm. Oh,
Not
I
in the
agree.
world of love, not in the world of Christ consciousness, not in the
Mhm.
world of spirituality. In the world of
Mhm.
spirituality, true spirituality, I see
Mhm.
no color, no creed,
Mhm.
no language, because
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
life, human or not, that includes animals, mammals,
Mhm.
aves, and this earth,
Mhm.
even before humans.
Mhm.
Honestly,
Mhm.
in my world, I have more respect for the animals, the aves, and the mammals and the earth.
Mhm.
I have no judgment. I have nothing,
Mhm.
nothing against any other life whatsoever.
Mhm.
when it comes to humans and seeing what we are doing, and we're still separating people, we're still saying that, you know, United States is the biggest country in the world, the most powerful in the world, excuse the expression. No, 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 it's not. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the politics. I don't believe in the world that separates a world from countries where your border is, so I can't come see you because, well, my politics is different than yours. In a garden in Eden, in a world that we were meant to live in, that we were born with. We were born as creators. We were born as innovators. We were born to thrive and survive in the elements of earth, not
Yeah.
politics, not
Yeah.
judgment, and not hate.
Yet no
Mm.
one has
Earth.
the right. No one has the right to judge people, or to judge anyone based on their culture, religion, group, ethnicity, or any other
Right,
thing.
right.
And
Regardless of gender,
now,
anything.
mhm, now I'm gonna move to Jackie.
Yeah, because I gotta. I get.
Mhm,
Well, you're passionate about it, Gary. You know,
Oh,
it's a big thing. What you were talking about with the children in the sandbox, you know, that's it just made me want to ask, you know, do you think, like, I mean, the innocence of children, like there was a Facebook page I saw, I think it was only yesterday, and there
mhm,
was a white child, but they were about 6 or something, and a black child, and they both had their hair shaved,
mhm,
you know, cut the same.
mhm.
And they were
mhm,
saying, why did you want the same haircut? And they were saying, so no one could tell us
mhm,
apart. So
mhm,
so the
mhm,
teacher would be confused. And I thought that's so innocent of them, because
Yep.
they're not seeing colour. They're
Yep.
not seeing
mhm,
different features. They're not seeing the different clothes.
Yep.
mhm,
They're just loving kids, you know. And I was thinking,
mhm,
like, this
mhm,
religion, politics, you know, the discrimination, the prejudice, it all comes from, yeah, we're not born like that.
No, we're not.
mhm,
No.
It's all the environment. It's definitely our parents, of course. You know, like
mhm.
you're saying with
Parents,
you know, your
schooling,
father or your mother,
scriptures,
all of that.
religion.
Yeah,
Culture,
and
society.
there'd
Yeah,
be
culture, society, superiority complex. Basically, you know what it
Mhm,
is? It's a bunch of egocentric, egomaniac, soulless people.
yeah,
mhm,
Anybody that judges a color or a creed or language, you're not human. You're being
mm,
mhm.
inhuman. In your
yeah,
in
Yes.
within every one of us. Every
Mhm,
one of us on the face of this earth. We are born in and with love.
hmm,
mhm,
The truth of it.
mhm,
A mother holds us to her. Now we have
mhm,
a newborn that's being born. A mother can't even hold the newborn right now. You know what they do? They're putting plastic sheets in behind it. You got to hold your child behind a plastic sheet because of this corona bullshit.
it's
mhm,
so
Oh,
ridiculous.
I knew this was going
mhm,
to be a
Yeah,
Pandora's box of a topic.
mhm,
Oh my God.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
mm,
I grew
Yeah.
up
Mhm.
privileged
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
way that I was allowed to be with other people of different languages and different
Mhm,
cultures. I
mhm,
have friends that are Chinese. I have friends that are Ameri Indians, First Nations peoples. I have friends that are from Trinidad. I have a friend from you, like Assam. I have a friend. I have Jackie on the other side of the world. I have many people. I could care less about your color, honestly.
mhm,
Anybody that throws that in my face and says, "Well, all Black lives matter," I say, you know what? All lives matter. And
mm,
mhm,
don't you dare say to me that I'm saying that based upon white privilege. No, it's
mhm,
not just black lives. It is all life. Animals, aves, mammals, this earth,
mhm,
and then humans. And if that doesn't
mhm,
sink into their head, then guess what? I got nothing more to say to them. Go ahead and hang
mhm.
up your
Yeah.
protest sign, because
Mhm,
your protest sign is promoting negativity. It is promoting the
mhm,
same story. It is promoting saying, hey, look at me. I'm an underprivileged person because I've been judged by another culture. Get off of it.
mhm,
Stand up.
the the
Speak in
Black
love.
Lives
Speak
Matter,
in
Gary.
truth. Hmm?
mhm,
The Black Lives Matter. It's insightful in itself. It's
Yeah.
just inciting hatred and keeping that whole thing going when we
It's
know it wasn't really.
segregating people still. I had a
Yes.
woman over here that was East Indian. She's not black. She's not from South America. And because I confronted her when she said to me, all lives matter, I said, I disagree. Or Black Lives Matter, I said, I disagree with that. I disagree with that because you know me. You've been welcomed into my space, my sanctuary, regardless of your color or your walk of life. Okay? And then to belittle me because I listen to music that's Sanskrit music, or I listen to East Indian music and say I should understand that, I think you should understand that. Because I listen to it because I don't hear language. I hear love. I see love. I believe in love. I believe in, I'll help you regardless of your color or your creed. But don't call me a white privileged boy because I grew up in judgment. I grew up in bullying. I grew up where I got my legs broken because of bullies, because they saw me, they judged me, and I was white and they were white. So don't tell me that I don't know what bullying is. Don't tell me what I don't know what hate is. It's not because it's a color. I was hated because I was intelligent. I was hated because I was emotional. I was hated because I was empath, because I could sense what was going on inside of you. I hated it too because I didn't understand it. But today, I understand it. I understand what my side of being an empath is. And I understand the voices that I hear and the hurt that I hear and the children that are being, if we go into that one, oh my God. You know, Hassan,
Gary,
I have one thing to say. Today is the anniversary of the death of my father. And
mhm,
my father, he taught me, he didn't teach me judgment.
mhm,
He showed me through his silence love.
mhm,
He wasn't a
mhm,
man that spoke very much, but I
mhm,
never, ever saw him judge anybody. Never.
mhm,
I saw him drink with the best of them. I
mhm,
saw him work with the best of them, regardless of color.
mhm,
Never heard a bad word from his voice. Never heard a bad name called. So I grew up in southern Alberta, a redneck part of Canada. Okay?
mhm,
Believe me, it's still rednecked here. Okay,
mhm,
we still have judgment. We still are looking at, the indigenous peoples and saying, look at them on the street. Well, you know what? Let's go back into history. It was the white
mhm,
man that turned around and gave them that bottle. And it was the
mhm,
white man that set them on a path that turned around and destroyed culture. And then what did we do? We took onus to take away their land and put them on a section of land and saying, here, this is your land.
mhm,
No human owns this earth. What we did
mhm,
to the indigenous peoples, and I will speak on behalf of the white people, because what we did
mhm,
to the indigenous peoples is an
mhm,
atrocity,
mhm,
is an atrocity. I've worked
mhm,
with many of these cultures on therapy sessions. I have been honored by them. I have learnt their wisdom. I have learnt their emotions. And when I talk about it, it makes me emotional. Yes, it does.
mhm,
It makes me angry to see our world and the peoples, not our world, no, the peoples, doing
mhm,
this. And then passing it on to children. We're
mhm,
inflicting trauma, we're inflicting tragedies, we're continuing the same thing. And so for me, anybody that's holding up a sign and protest and saying, look at me, I have more rights, or I need to be seen, I see you.
mhm,
I see your heart. I see your soul.
mhm,
And I will give you the benefit of the doubt that I will give you love. I may not
mhm,
trust, but I will give
mhm,
you love. And I will show you compassion regardless of your color, your creed, or your language.
mhm.
And this needs to be changed, Hassan. It
Mhm.
needs to be changed in your country. It needs to be changed in my country. It needs to be
It
changed
needs to be
all around
changed
the world.
everywhere. Yes.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere.
You know,
There's
Gary,
one place in the world. You know where? There's a tribe. in the Amazonian jungle that will lose their land because we are saying that it is not important for them. We want to plant biofuels. So we're going to destroy the medicines of the earth. We're going to destroy a culture that has lived in harmony without technology, without luxury. They've lived with life. Do we have the
Gary,
rights
I
to do
have
this? Nope.
Gary, I have three stories to share. My
Okay,
own personal
good.
experiences
I'm going to
of
glue this shut
discrimination.
because, oh,
Yes, I'm gonna share my own three experiences of discrimination, hate speech, and differentiation. I'm gonna start with my most recent experience uh, of of discrimination, and it's a combination of hate and discrimination towards certain society. I was recently engaged, to that. We were engaged. I was engaged with someone, and I'm not gonna share the name publicly, but I'm gonna say it there. But the reason we broke up is because of her father. Her father
mm,
think that I was not good enough. I was not. I was good. I was good, very good in communication. We have a very good family setup and everything. But they thought that the people, we like my, I'm talking about me, is that we, that they are not the people of our standard. They are, if we marry to their family, like myself, like our family, then there's going to be a big trouble in
mm,
their family. So by putting the family, they decided to break it off. And that's the first story of discrimination and hate. And the second is recently, I was also in Dubai around about 2 or 3. Yeah, recently in Dubai. And if you have visited Dubai, then Dubai is an economical hub. It has got businesses, and it's been flourishing. It has become the business hub of Asia in economical growth and financial progress, and everything is perfect. But the thing I have observed there, that the people of Western identities, Western passport, they are given priorities in terms of job opportunities over the Asian ethnicities. For instance, if a person is a person, there are two people, a West and Asian. A Western a person would be given higher salaries and higher opportunities, higher, uh, what do we call it, high privileges. On the
status.
other hand, the person with, yes, and the person with Asian background, he would be given a lower job, lower salary, and low opportunities for growth and progress. And that's how it works in Dubai. And if, for instance, Dubai is a authoritarian government. For instance, if you say bad thing, if you say criticize this system, then they will kick you out immediately. And they don't give nationalities to foreign nationals. They don't give
I'd last probably
nationality.
24
For
hours
instance,
in there and I'd be thrown out.
yes, yes, that's how. Yes, no, seriously, Gary, you're right. For instance, if you are in Dubai and you're criticizing the Dubai government, then they will kick you out in 24 hours. Yeah, and she is from Australia. There was when I was there in Dubai, there was an Australian girl, and she criticized that something about road parking, and she posted a picture on Facebook, and they will kick her out in less than 12 hours. They said, okay, go back to your country, and with a red flag that she cannot come back to Dubai in her lifetime. This is what's happening in Dubai. And when I went there, my father told me that okay, you have a car, you are a good speaker and everything. I appreciate you, but this is not the place to open your mouth, and be quiet. And as long as
Be
if you want
quiet.
to steer, yes. And that's why, yes,
Mm.
you have to. I had to stay quiet first. for some time to stay there. But these are the discrimination, the hate towards other people. I have experiences there. That's the second story, and the third is I'm not going to waste all of your time to listen to my stories. But okay, the third is it's a bit older story. After finishing my MBA from the university, when I enter into the professional life, I experienced that as I said earlier, that is a highly caste-based system society is Pakistan. If, for instance, if you are not born in a certain caste, you don't have your name is not uh, is not of the higher society or higher section of the society,
Really?
then you are yes, and then you are considered lower. And I was, as I said, I was the lower class, so I was not given opportunities. Thank you, that technology that I have made my profession over the internet. I've made clients
Mhm.
all over the world, and my business, online business, is going well. But for the society, the society in which I'm living in, it has really disappointed me in terms of opportunities, in terms of freedom of speech, in terms of everything.
Mm, mm.
Mhm,
You know, everywhere. I don't think
mhm,
there's
mhm,
no place that
mhm,
I'm aware of that, or I haven't
mhm,
visited yet, that
mhm,
doesn't have some form of hate
mhm,
or judgment that
mhm,
has been installed. This is
mhm,
part of this awakening. This
mhm,
awakening for us is to see the
mhm,
truths and
mhm,
see the value, the truth
mhm,
and the value of being human. And
mhm,
to those in the world that cannot see this, they're
mhm,
not going to ascend to the next level of connection, to the connectivity of
mhm,
spirituality. They're going to be left
mhm.
behind. The earth is going to speak. There's going to be more things that are going to be coming forward as we go forward into this year of 2021, and all of the
Mhm,
the bad stuff that's going to come out for us to see what's truly been going on. Okay,
mhm,
and it's time that we speak up. It's time
mhm,
that we say an end to hate. It's time that we
mhm,
speak up and show, not just speak, but
mhm,
show by example. And I admire you, Hassan, for doing what you're
mhm,
doing, to be able to speak out, because I know what it's like in the Arabic cultures. I've got many friends that are there, and I've heard all of the stories, whether it's in Lebanon, whether it's in Dubai,
mhm,
whether it's in Saudi Arabia, okay, or
mhm,
anywhere in between. And then we can stem
mhm,
off into the other parts of Europe where it's still influenced in that way.
mhm,
We as not as leaders. I don't like
mhm,
using the word leader, because leader has a bad taste in my mouth, because there isn't one
mhm,
leader anywhere in the world that has stepped up to the podium and said, my doors are open to all peoples, that my
mhm,
country is open to all countries. Not
mhm,
one has said this. And there never will be, because the only thing that
mhm,
they're doing as politicians is filling their pockets at the cost of our lives.
mhm,
We are a commodity. We are seen in the eyes of royalty as a underling, a commodity, good enough to wipe their feet on. Because why? They have more money in the world? Well, here's something to all the
mhm,
Saudi princes. Here's to all the elitists of the world. And here's what I'm going to say.
mhm,
Okay? You're not worth
mhm,
anything. You're not
mhm,
worth anything more than I am. I'm a human.
mhm,
I have a heart. I have a spirit. I have a soul. And I'm capable of loving. But you
mhm,
who see yourself as a prince, or see yourself as a worldly politician, you don't have heart. I have
mhm,
heart, and I would rather be here with the peoples than standing
mhm,
beside you and voting for you and supporting you, because I don't believe in you. I believe in the people.
mhm,
I believe in the children. I
mhm,
believe in the innocence that we're born with.
mhm,
And if it takes my last breath, not going to change.
mhm.
Jackie,
Now
start
I'm gonna,
talking, because if
yes,
not, I'm cranked up.
yes,
Oh,
mhm,
I know
I
my
was.
colors change, and I can feel it.
mhm, yes.
You've been through
We
all the
have
rainbow
give,
colours, Gary.
Ugh.
You know, it's this is something that's happened all through the ages. How do we change it? Because, you know, people have been, you know, their whole expression and speech has been squashed down and suppressed all through the ages, through people being killed, like you're saying, Gary. You know, the people that speak up about healing, and even more recently, look at the holistic doctors that have been knocked off, you
Oh
know, for
God,
speaking their
holistic doctor.
yep, for speaking their truth and coming up with something that can cure cancer, which brings them in millions, you know, and so we know that people are fearful of speaking their truth because of these things. But again, people are willing to die, like you said, Gary. People are willing to die, you know, for that cause, because
Yeah,
they know it is right.
yeah.
They know what they're saying is right, and they can only speak the truth. And if that gets them, you know, whatever happens to them, they are willing to take that risk. But so much is fear-based, and these people that are, you know, think they've got control over us with just through fear and just for power or greed or status or glory or whatever they're
Or
doing
just
it
pure
for.
evil. Some of them are
Yeah,
just pure evil.
yes, yeah, and where does that come from? You know, 'cause they're not born like that. Where does that evilness come from? And it all, I think, for me, you know, Gary, you're able to speak your mind because you are comfortable in yourself. And I think that all these people that want all this power and glory really somehow are so disconnected and not in touch with themselves or comfortable with themselves of who they are. So they've
Yep,
got to be this other person, suppressing other
yep.
people, knocking other people down, speaking badly of other people to feel better about themselves. I mean,
Yeah,
that
because
is the only reason really why you put other people down, is to make some part of yourself feel better about yourself.
superiority
And
complex.
yeah, or yeah, and we're not feeling great. We're feeling insecure. We've got low self-esteem, but we're still willing to put others down
Yeah.
because we want them to come down to our level, because we don't know how to be comfortable enough to come up to their level. You
Even
know, so
between gender, Jackie, it exists. Look at what's going on
yes,
right now between male and female. Okay,
yeah,
regardless of color and language, even male and female were judging and belittling each other. It's like, I'm the goddess movement. Let's give the world to the women, give them power to the women, and let them look after the earth. Well, we're just throwing it out of balance again.
yeah,
What we
yeah,
need to do is come together. You
yeah,
know, unity, speak truthfully, speak with heart. If you have a problem with color and language, maybe you should get a translator and stick your eyes shut so that you don't see this. I see it even as a couple walking down the street, the way that a man speaks to his wife or speaks. I mean, it's belittling. It's how has this happened? How has this happened when I know I know what the Christ was about. I know what God is about. My belief. And it was about love and acceptance. It was about compassion. It was about kindness. It was about truth. But now we have a world filled with untruths. What's true today? Politician
well,
is saying, what Trump is saying, what Putin is saying, what Trudeau is saying. There's no truth coming out of their mouth. They're puppets.
Yes.
But we
Gary,
believe in
now,
them.
mhm. Gary, now let's talk about social media. Let's talk about
Oh.
the tech companies. When we talk about
Do we have enough
technology,
time?
yes, we have got 10 to 15 minutes. We have got, and
Okay.
now in the technological world that we are living in the age of digital and technology, and now we have got the other kind of discrimination. It's the tech discrimination. If you don't agree with the mainstream technology, with the mainstream ideology, then you will be kicked out from the
Yep.
Facebook. You will be kicked out from your account will be blocked. And this is what is happening right now on social media and also on all of the digital media platforms. Recent example of COVID-19
Mm.
and masking. If you don't agree with the masking, if you don't agree with the vaccination system, if you don't agree with the COVID-19 as the pandemic, then
Hmm.
all of your content will be blocked and you'll
Yep.
be kicked out from all of those platforms. Now we have entered into the other era of hate speech or of
Yeah.
discrimination and censorship. Yeah, censorship is a good word. Now,
Yeah.
not hate speech
Censorship's a
is
good word for it.
yeah, yeah, censorship.
Jackie?
They will censor your content.
It's not even, son, it's not even agreeing or disagreeing. It's, you
Hmm.
can't even question it. You know, like they
Hmm.
don't even want us to have a mind of our own or question things. You can't even say, "Oh, gee, what's in this virus? Is that stuff good for us?" Or you can't even
Hmm.
question it. You know,
Hmm.
without being censored and
Hmm.
and claimed. You know, they've anti-vaxxers, which they've, you know, they love throwing that one around.
Oh, yeah.
Anti-vaxxers when you're just for freedom of choice and
Hmm.
wanting knowledge about what's in stuff. You know, and wanting to know what you're putting into your body or choosing not to put this stuff into your body. Like, when has our immune system never been able to cope, you know, unless you're already unwell or, you know, something else going on?
Mm.
we're
Hmm.
we're born with these things to cope and to do things. But
Hmm.
sorry, going back to social media, yeah, it's just getting so ridiculous, you know, with the fact checkers, who it's all opinion, or a lot of
Hmm.
it's computerized, I imagine, just picking up a word and just getting rid of you, because most of the time I know you can challenge it and,
Yep.
you know, and it'll be back up in a second. So
Hmm.
but yeah, but people that are having a voice and telling us about all this stuff
Hmm.
and sharing things are just
Hmm.
banned for what, 30, 60, 90 days. So they haven't got a voice, you know, and they've got to go to another
Hmm.
there's other platforms available now. But
Hmm.
the censorship is just ridiculous, because it's one body of people controlling what millions of people are saying, and, you know, through
Hmm.
their, for their own gain
Yep.
again, you know. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, you know, I don't speak like Gary speaks on my social media or anything like that.
Oh,
But I've
please. You
noticed.
Hmm.
speak equally well. Don't drop yourself down, please.
No,
Hmm.
Okay?
I just meant, you know, I don't put stuff up. I'm not posting things all the time where. But I did have one thing that was fact checked, and I was just like, oh my god, you know, I'm just this little person over here with just trying to just express some things, and
Hmm.
it's fact checked and taken off, and, you know, or lots of things you go and click on that people have shared, and it's just like, this is not
Hmm.
available any
Yep.
longer. You know, so
Hmm.
there's certain words obviously that you can't say. People are putting in little symbols now so that the word can't be picked up, and,
Yep.
you know, we're having to do all this
Hmm.
stuff, and just being
So
fearful
if
too. You don't know,
Mhm.
like when you go to a peaceful protest or something, you have to be so careful what you say or do around those people of so-called authority, the police, that are so willing to jump on you for anything, looking for something, inciting things so that they can cause a bit of a stir and maybe get
Yep.
everyone riled up. So in that way, you sense it all the time, really, through fear, in a way, you know,
Mhm.
unless you get past that and just, you know, claim your sovereignty and all that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
yeah,
So
it's huge,
it
isn't it?
raises Jackie is raises a very interesting question. Then what happened to the freedom of speech? If our content, if our voice, if our views, if our thoughts, if our disagreement are being censored, then what happened to the freedom of speech?
Money. That's what happened to it. Okay?
Mhm.
Money. When we look at it, it's the money, the powers that are to be that don't want these truths to come out, whether it is
Mhm.
what we're doing peacefully in protest or through social media. They're owned by the elitists. The elitists want to control us. They want to control what we want to say in freedom of speech. Well, you know what? Let's go
Mhm.
back to old school. Old school was,
Mhm.
you got a pen, you got a piece of
Mhm.
paper, write a
Mhm.
letter. How many people do you know? Write a letter,
Mhm.
pass it on, change it, pass it on. There's ways to get over it. social media before the technology became, we were on the phone, we were having gatherings, we were writing letters, we were bringing people together this way. So if you look at how much it costs you to run your phone in a month, how many stamps can you buy?
Mhm.
Can you buy 1,000
Mm.
stamps? Write a
Mhm.
letter, buy 1,000 stamps, mail it out,
Mhm.
deliver it by
Mhm.
hand. If we allow the fear to set in to say, well, I can't post this, I can't post that, then let's look at what we're posting. Are you
Mhm.
posting something that is negative? Are you posting something that is insightful towards hate or anger? Then
Mhm.
maybe find a way to use the verbose. Find a
Mhm.
better way to say the same
Mhm.
truth. I don't call out anybody that says, well, you know what, a mask or non mask. I have a
Mhm.
choice. I have the God given right to breathe air. I have the
Mhm.
God given right to have access to fresh water. And I have the God given freedom to speak respectfully, speak in
Mhm.
presence, and speak with truth. Nothing more.
Mhm.
So if my
Yes,
truth
indeed.
is truthful, then it's the way that I say that truth. I'm not going to call out the Bill Gates. I'm not going to call, you know what? We all know what he's doing. We all know what any of the politicians are doing. But what can we pick up that's positive? If
Mhm.
you can do the same thing picking up what's negative and promoting
Mhm.
negative, can you not maybe promote what's positive?
Mhm.
Promote solutions, promote constructive criticism rather than lambasting and falling off into the mistruths, because a majority of
Mhm.
the reason why people are getting banned or shadow banned is because the truth that you're posting is only partially true. Did you
Mhm.
check your facts? Did you do
Mhm.
the homework? Or are you just
Mhm.
believing what it is because it strikes an emotion in you? And so you
Mhm.
go off with it and spread it off. It's the same
Mhm.
thing with body shaming. Body shaming
Mhm.
is all over the internet. Look at all the women that are trying to be the influencers and showing their fleshy side to say, hey, look at me. Okay,
Mhm.
what happened? Is that freedom of speech? No, that's something that's
Mhm.
programmed us to put something forward that does incite aggressivity. It
Mhm.
incites even hate. It incites hate
Mhm.
from other parts of the world. The women in Dubai will look at the women in North America and they have a very
Mhm.
strong word about what they say about the women in North America.
Mhm.
Vice versa, what the women are saying about that part of the world. So we're
Mhm.
using social
Yeah.
media to voice mistruths and
Mhm.
hate and promote it and continue to promote it. Why not promote
Mhm.
love?
Mhm.
How many people are promoting love and positivity and
Mhm.
uplifting and helpful? You know,
Mhm.
try to
And
help
Gary, we are
somebody.
doing it. We are doing it.
I'm
Yes,
one
we
person.
are. Yes. Come
We're
on, I
one
am with
person.
you.
Jackie's one
I
person.
am.
We are doing
Yes.
it,
Mhm.
but we're up
But we need
against
more
a
support.
machine.
Mhm. Yes.
We're up against a machine filled of angry
Mhm.
people,
Mhm.
filled with people that have no trust, have had
Mhm.
their trust broken.
Mhm.
So we have a world filled with people that are running in 30 different directions trying to find heart, trying to
Mhm.
find truth, but yet
Mhm.
truth is right there. It's in the mirror.
Mhm.
So,
Gary, the discussion we are having right now is to them, to many people, is falls in the category of hate speech, and because let's be honest, you are not masking kind of person, and vaccination, you are not into it, and to
mhm,
them, you are disagreeing with them, and your content would fall in the category of hate speech,
yeah,
and that is what is happening right now on the social media. Remove. Okay, let's talk uh, about the race, about different, about anything, about religion, about culture, about race, about anything. The discussion you are having with someone, your comments. And as soon as you disagree with someone and you say something, you start talking about the facts, and you start talking about the views, uh, about something that disagree with the other person, then you would be immediately called as racist,
Hmm.
and your content would fall in the category of hate speech.
So there's all that talk too about being, gosh, you got to be politically correct. You got to watch what you
Mhm,
say. All
mhm,
that stuff, which is,
mhm,
Anyway, look, I think that the powers that be with all this stuff are actually kicking themselves in
mhm,
the bum, because it's giving us an opportunity to really reach inside ourselves,
Yep.
and for
mhm,
more people to just stop and just think about what are we doing here in this world, like getting back to connection with
mhm,
nature. They've kept us in our
mhm,
homes. They've kept us not being able to travel anywhere. Like our beaches were closed at one stage. How do you close a beach?
mhm,
Not allowed down there. I mean, who's social distancing and all that kind of stuff, and you can't go in the water? Like, are you going to catch a virus?
Yeah,
Look,
you're
it's
gonna
so
mhm,
pass the
it's
virus on
so
to the dolphins, right?
ridiculous. Oh,
mhm,
look, it's so ridiculous. But in that we're talking to our neighbours more, we're talking to our children more, and we're talking in community like this about things going on, and really reconnecting with all of us as a whole, and
mhm.
recognizing that each person is a connection to ourselves,
Yes.
and
Ah,
so coming back to that of just recognizing that everyone we see, everyone that's on their path at this point in time, is a reflection of ourselves, and
Mhm,
so not trying not to, even those that do the hate speech, there's something going on underlying. We've got to have all the extremes in the world, because these are all the
mhm,
extremes of your personality,
mhm,
basically, right? So
mhm,
there's got to be those things, but even with the hate speech, it's still, I feel that we've got to allow people to speak, because then we can address what the underlying issue is
mhm,
somehow along the line.
mhm,
And I know that that
mhm,
would take a long, long time to
mhm,
turn around, but
mhm,
it's got to be given a chance, because what else is
mhm,
there? We've got to try to turn these things around.
hmm.
mhm.
You know.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I
It's
think we
changing.
spent more than an hour. Yes, and we spent more than an hour. We have been discussing about freedom of speech, hate speech, censorship, biasness, and prejudice towards other people. And it is wrong. And this is what's happening on the social media. Your content is being censored. And
Yep.
thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Stephanie and Will and other people, many other people. Thank you for your comments, for you, and also thank you, Donna. All the people for sharing, for joining us, your comments, and also thank you so much to my guest, Jackie. Thank you so much to Gary
Mm.
for your time and for your uh, for uh, for this lovely debate.
Oh yeah, this is
And
just the beginning.
we'll Yes, and
Thanks for
we'll
having
come
me.
back. Yes, and we'll come back next week with some of the topic.
Yes.
And if you have any question, leave it in the comment box below. I'll answer it to you, and Gary, Jackie, or anyone will answer it to you as soon as they can. Thank you, and have a good day, good night, wherever you are.
Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Yes, 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 indeed. Yes. Mm.